Everybody, half our church just left. But that's really, let's give them a hand clap. I'm extremely grateful for what God is doing in our youth and ministering to them and being able to help them as they can grow in their relationship with Christ. Before we started, this is kind of personal, so as we begin is thank you all who have reached out to. Should I grab the mic? Okay. Number 2. All right, can you hear me? Sound better? All right. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for many of you all who've reached out to my family and I during this time. As if you've been a part of this church, then you know my mother, Ernestine Williams, is a member here. So last Saturday, she went home to be with the Lord, and she would sit right there. So I want to say thank you to all of you all who've reached out to us. It really has made a tremendous impact in our life, and she's my hero. So I want to say thank you. Let's open up in God's word. We're going to pray. Let's get in this word. Father, we thank you so much for just this opportunity to be with you and to be in your presence. Jesus, we ask in this Christmas season that we would see you. Bless us, God. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, we're continuing this series. It's our Advent series. And really what we've been trying to do is really allow ourselves in this Christmas season to focus on Christ and his coming. And you have to be able to see him. You have to respond to him. And as much as we look at all of the accoutrements and we look at all of the lights and the spectacles, you know, even as we sing that song, Jesus is truly the ultimate light of the world. And so in this moment, I think it's very important for us to continue to seek, to look, and to find him in this season. And so today, I get the privilege of being able to share on the love of Christ and how do we respond to the love of Christ. We've talked about hope. We've talked about joy. What's the other one we talked about? Peace. And today we get to talk about love. And so as we sing these songs and we do these Advent ceremonies, I know for some of you all it might be new, but this is truly the tradition of our faith. And the tradition of our faith allows us to find hope, joy, peace, and today, love. So we're going to join together in Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judah, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east, they came to Jerusalem. And here's what they said once they got to Jerusalem. Where is he who was born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and we have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all of Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all of his chief priests and his scribes of the people, when he gathered them together, he inquired of them, and he asked, where was Christ to be born? Then they said to him, and this is from Micah chapter 5, in Bethlehem of Judah, for thus it is written by the prophet, but behold, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are you not the least among the rulers? But for out of you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had secretly called the wise men, he determined from them what time the star had actually appeared. And so then he sent them to Bethlehem, and he said, go and search carefully for the young child. And when you have found him, bring back word to me, that I might come to worship him. And when the king had departed, behold, the star which the wise men had seen in the east had went up before them till they came and it stood before the house where the child was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child, and they opened their treasures, and they presented him with gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Then, being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed for their own country another way. Everybody say another way. God, I pray that you bless us as we study your word. I pray that you would minister to us. Lord, I pray that we would see that your great love has been revealed to us, and in so doing, there's a way in which we respond. It is in your name we pray. Amen. This message really is something that is very encouraging in many ways, and when you look at it, it's easy just to kind of get caught up into more of the Christmas tradition. But when you really look at this, there's something that has taken place in this story. As we saw in Isaiah, as we saw in Luke chapter 1 and chapter 2, God seemed to leave hints of his presence so that people would learn how to follow Jesus. I want you to hear this again. God left hints. He left clues of his presence and of his person so that people would be able to follow Jesus. And when people don't see those hints and they don't see those clues, what they're doing is they're wandering in their lost aimlessly. And quite often, even in the world that we live in now, seriously, you can look, as I said, look at the traditions of what is supposed to be our Christmas season, and look at how we go about doing Christmas. And oftentimes, we have Christmas, but we leave Christ far out of it. We celebrate everything else except Jesus, the Savior. We see every light. We want every gift. We want every presence. But a lot of us want presents, but we don't want his presence. And so we find ourselves in these seasons where when you look and you accumulate really the things that you do, the traditions that you establish in this time of faith and this time of Christianity and this time of what we celebrate as his birth, quite often it's only about a gift. Maybe it's the iPhone. I'm just saying. The new one. The 13 or the 14, whichever the one you're going to pay monthly payments on. You pay payments on iPhones like it's a house. Then they lock you up in there for the next 15 years. And we find all of these different things to celebrate us, because Christmas is not about him many times, it's about us. We celebrate us. We celebrate our desires. We celebrate the things that we want. We seek after the things that we want. And we take this time right now to go broke to give ourselves the things that we want. And then when January come, we're like, oh, Jesus, where were you? He said, I was that star that was trying to tell you go this way, but you kept going to the Apple store. Do y'all not realize that we always had problem with fruit, and when it came to following Jesus, that bite is your bite out of that apple. It might have been an apple that morning, and I'm sorry. But when you look at this story, what is beautiful is what I find so beautiful in this story is everybody say wise men. I have to tell you about these Magi. These Magi were actually people, they called them magicians or astrologers. They were actually not from Jerusalem. They didn't know anything about the Jewish faith. They didn't know anything about Jesus Christ. It says that they were far away. And then there was a star that arose. And when we talk about God's love for us, what you must understand is that when God loves us so much, he will always leave little alerts for you. He will always leave little signs for you so that you can see him. And so these Magi didn't know anything about Jesus. They didn't know anything about Judaism. They didn't know much about Jerusalem. But then there was a star that came up. And that star did not alarm them, but it alerted them. There's a difference. Because when you're alarmed, you're frazzled and you're afraid. And some of us have given our lives to Jesus because we're afraid. He don't want you to give your life to him because you're afraid of him. He wants you to give your life to him because you love him. And so this light alerted them. They saw this light. It was actually a supernova star. And it says it wasn't just a light that they looked up. It says that the light rose. So they, being astrologers and they being magicians, these were the people who understood the celestial outpouring. And they could look at the stars and the movement of everything that was going on. And they could read things. Y'all know about that too, your zodiac sign, right? Yeah. I'm a Taurus. I'm just stubborn. I'm a Pisces. Oh, you do not want to mess with me because I'm a Virgo, right? Right? Some of us still read those things, right? And we actually are looking for direction, and we're looking for a sense of peace and a sense of purpose because we're looking for a sign. Girl, what's your sign? Boy, what's your sign? My sign is Jesus. My sign is Jesus. Why? Why? This is important because people look for signs to tell them stuff about themselves. But when Jesus came, he sent a sign to show you who he was. And every time that we live our lives, we need to be looking for signs. And you can look for signs all you want to. You can look for signs in numbers. You can look for signs in stars. You can look for signs in whatever you want, as long as it is pointing you to Jesus. You don't need to know much more about yourself, do you? A lot of us know what you are. You don't need another sign to say that you stubborn. Did you need a Taurus, a bull to tell you that you are bullheaded? Come to me, I would have told you. And we look for these signs trying to help us find a sense of purpose, but here's what God did. People who did not know him, didn't know about his religion, he used what they studied so that they could see Jesus. It's beautiful. See, this is how much Christ loves you, is he will use situations to alert you that he's real. And he'll use the stuff that you're in and the stuff that you do. I don't know how many of you all have ever got saved high. Oh, let me stop. I don't know how many of you all recognize you need Jesus when you were drunk. Uh-oh. I don't know how many of you all recognize you were a sinner when you were sinning. Oh, ain't no amens up. Everybody just quietly close your eyes and just say amen. Because he will use where you're at and what you're into and what you do so that he can say, wait a minute, in the midst of what you're doing, I still will shine my light. And I'm not shining my light to expose you. I'm shining my light to show you the right direction. That's why we see that boy who left his father in Luke, he leaves his father, he's lost, he's in a pig pen, he had lived his life, debaucherous living, and God didn't show up once he got right. God showed up when he was living in his wrong. And so God will show you who he is, and this is how much he loves you. He will show you who he is even when you don't want to know who he is. He will show you who he is, and he will give you a sign, and he will alert you that now is enough, and enough is enough. I know it ain't that many amens. I know I'm just a sinner. I know I was messed up. I know that I was drinking all through college and chasing everybody and right in the midst of that, you know what? He alerted me. And if you haven't had that alert, can I tell you where you living? No, I ain't gonna mess with you, okay? I ain't never had that. Just look. So he shows this, he alerts them with this star because he loved them. He loved them. They were not Jews. As a matter of fact, we believe that they were from Babylon, they were Arabian, or they were Persian. And if you really pay attention to it, they were most likely Muslim. But that's how much his love is for us. He loves each and every one of us. He cares deeply for each and every one of us. And he will show us who his son is if we're just looking. Everybody say, look. All you have to do is look. In this season, in this Advent season, can I encourage you? Just look. If things are well, just look. If things are hard and difficult, just look. Because he's there. He's there. And if we're going to prepare for his coming, there's some things that we truly, truly must do. If I could give you anything just so you understand kind of the heart and the spirit of this message, and then we'll go into our points. Kind of the focus and the thrust of this sermon would simply be this. In this season of Advent, the coming of Jesus, be sure to look for and respond to God's love, no matter who you are. We can come in church, but some of us don't feel like this is the right place for us. We can be in here and yet feel so distant from him. We can be around people and life seems dark and difficult. But what I want to encourage you to do is look for his love. His love is something that you can't evade. His love is something that you cannot avoid. You will either accept it or reject it. That's it. You will either accept his love or reject his love. And so for us, as God's people, I want us to look and respond to his love. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at some ways in which the people responded to the love of Christ as he came. Number one, if you see the star, go after it. Everybody say, go after it. This situation was not an ideal situation for them. They were doing what they were doing. This was actually an inconvenience. And they were normally accustomed to studying these things because it was a part of what they did. It would give them a sense of direction. It would help them understand that they were going. But this star was completely different from any other star. And beautiful as God is, I know what he'll do. He will bring something very unique into our lives at the right time so that we can see that this is not like anything else. See, Jesus is not like anything else. You can't compare him to anything. And I know we try. But something caught their attention. And when they did, here's what they said. As we see in the text, where is he who was born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east, and we have come to worship him. Go after him. When you see a sign of Jesus, go after him. You may not understand everything about him, but keep going after him. It might be hard, and I love this. When you get mad at God and you want to give up on God, where do you go? Help me. When you get upset with God and you get mad at God and you don't believe he's there, and where do you go? Where? And I always have to tell people, it's okay to be mad at God, but don't make friends with the devil. Don't. Because a lot of us, when we don't go after him, we're going after something else, somebody else, something. It's pulling us and it's drawing us away. But these, even though they didn't know everything, what they did know is I'm going to keep following that star. I'm going to keep going after him. God, I don't care how bad it is, I'm going after you, because where else can I go? Everybody say, go after him. I want you to go after him with a veracity, and I want you to go after him with a passion, and I want you to chase after him. I'm tired of walking Christians. I want you to run after him. I'm tired of us just casually strolling, looking, and making sure that he's not too far away. We can see him in the distance, but if something happened, we will not be close enough to him to where his presence could keep us. I'm tired of loving him in a distance, and I want us to go after him. Everybody say, go after him. Chase after him and pursue him and go get him, and don't wait for him to come get you. There's a moment in our faith when we need to go after him. And that's what they did. They went after him. Go after him. The journey may be long, but keep going. Go after him. You may not see what the destination is going to be, but keep going. Go after him. Even when it's dark, he left you a star, and keep going and keep going. Pastor Darryl, what's the star? It's his word. It's his word. And you hide yourself in this Bible. And this Bible, as much as we think this Bible is about instructions, this Bible is a GPS. This Bible will tell you where to turn. This Bible will tell you where your destiny is. This Bible is something that is real. Everybody say, go after him. 3 things you must do as it relates to that as well. After we go after him, there are 3 receives. You must receive him in faith and not in fear. You must receive him to rule your life, and you must receive him with joy. Receive him in faith. It says that King Herod, when King Herod heard from the Magi and the wise men that Jesus had come, it says that he was startled in all of Jerusalem. Because when Jesus shows up in your life, if you think you're king, guess who's going to have to move out of your seat? You. And Herod understood, wait a minute, this is not cool now, because I'm the king of the people of Israel. And it says that a new king is showing up. And a lot of times when Jesus shows up, he shows up Because he has authority. That's why you have to receive him to rule. Because he has authority. Everybody say authority. I don't like many authority figures. As a matter of fact, I think I've done well in life by doing my own thing. I like breaking rules. If you tell me to do this, I promise you I'll do that first. I don't look at instructions when I put things together. That's why when you come to my house, if something is leaning, you know why. Okay? I'm going to try my own way. I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to do everything that I feel like is right. But a lot of times when I try my own thing and I do it my own way, I'm lost. My stuff is broke up and disgusted. And so I have learned, even though I know me, I better make sure that I allow him to rule my life. Okay, you good. You got where you at. You think you good. Yeah. You don't understand what you could have had if you'd have just followed him. You've settled for what you thought was good and not recognizing if you'd have followed him, there's greatness waiting for you, baby. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's fearful to relinquish you to somebody you don't see. But it's even fearful to relinquish you to that buster you do see. I'm sorry. Just forgive me, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, forgive me. That's the scary part. When you know you gave yourself wholeheartedly to something that you knew would never satisfy you and never give you hope and never give you peace. And you know what you say? I'm going to give it a try. I just got to see for myself. Mm-hmm. You know what that is? That ain't faith. That's truly fear. It's really fear. So we must receive him in faith and let him rule. But once we receive him, here's the beautiful thing. You receive him with joy. See, there's a joy that is unexplainable. There's a joy that even as hard as it is, you'll find it. Like I love my old girl. My mama is my girl. That's my girl. Me moving back here for the last 6 years, it's my girl. And as for as much pain that I am in, I have greater joy. I have greater joy. I'm going to miss her, but joy will make me remember her. I remember her sitting right there. I remember walking in there and her stopping me in her little wheelchair. Baby, stop. You ain't going to preach until you say hello to me. Okay, mama? Sit right here. I remember that because I remember when she didn't love Jesus. And now I know her eternity is established and secure with the Savior of the world. Joy. Joy. This type of joy that God gives us, this world cannot take it away. There's joy. You receive him. When the light shines, you receive him. And it may not feel joyful in the moment, but it will produce joy not only for this lifetime, but for eternity. I'm talking about eternal joy. And we give our lives for temporal joy. I'm talking about a joy that is with Jesus. And he gives us that type of joy. When he allows his love to alert us, receive it with joy. Joy. Joy is not about being happy. It's about finding peace. It's about finding peace. And that's why we live our lives. That's why we believe in the unseen. That's why we trust in the Spirit. It's because we know that there is something far greater than our right now. When the light shines and his love alarms you or alerts you, make sure you receive him with joy. Everybody say joy. Verse 11. It says, now once the people, after the king stopped talking and after the king tried to set him up, he was like, listen, I want to go with y'all. Listen, here's what you do. Go find out where he is and then let me know where he's at and then I'm going to come and worship you. You know that king was lying because he was living his life in fear, right? And fear does not make you worship. Fear makes you worry. Okay? And so he was worried that he was about to lose everything. So he calls them secretly and he says, listen, where did y'all hear this? Where did you find out about the king of the Jews? Where did you find out about him? I want to know because I want to go worship him too. I want to go worship him too. He was lying. He wanted to kill him. And he wanted them to do the work to go find him and then tell him where Jesus was so that he could kill him. Jesus and God, because of his love for us, makes us understand what's real and what's counterfeit. And once you find what's real, after you go after it, pursue him. You pursue him with everything. It says that once the king stopped speaking, it says the light showed up again. Once nonsense got out of the way, then we start seeing what's real. It took them right to the house where the baby was. Here's what gets me. You know this baby was probably 2 years old now? He wasn't recently born. It's 2 years. 2 years old. And it says that once they came to the house, they went in. And there's a secret place with Christ that each and every one of us has if we're willing to pursue him. There's a place with Christ to where many might stand and be happy that they see where he's at, but there are others who say, I have to be where he's at. And I want us to be with Jesus. I want your family to be with Jesus in this Christmas season. I want you not just to know about him. I want you to know something new. I want you to go in and pursue him, because then after you pursue him, you worship him. You worship him. Worship is about honor and offering. Worship is about honor and offering. Magi understood that when a star would come, it represented that there was someone of great authority that had just been born. And that's the reason why they chose to follow this star. They understood that wherever they were going, there was someone of a great joy that they themselves would come to worship. Some even called Magi priests. Some called them kings. And so we recognize that these people may have been dignitaries themselves and might have been of high esteem, but they understood that there was somebody greater than them. Now, I don't know what your king looks like in your mind. But when they came in, they saw king in baby form. 2 years old. How many of y'all ever had a 2-year-old? Ain't nothing cute about worshiping a little 2-year-old. You hear me? I'm trying to whoop every 2-year-old. Get your... No, I'm sorry. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Just so y'all know. Get your... I'm sorry. But when you see the king and you've been with the king, it doesn't matter what the king looks like. What only matters is that you worship him. It says when they came in, they worshiped him. It says they fell at their feet and they began to worship him. Worship is about honor. And the one person, you know how it is, there seems to be a lack of honor in a place that you're familiar with someone, right? Everybody is of greater honor outside of their home because people see their great value. But when you're at home and you're accustomed to seeing it, you actually get comfortable with it. And unfortunately, Christians have gotten very comfortable with Jesus being Jesus and not him being king. Jesus is not someone we listen to. Jesus is somebody who accompanies us to do what we want to do. That's what our Western Christianity has become. Jesus can inconvenience the things that we want to do instead of him directing the things that we should do. We've made our Christianity to be about us. And that's why there's so many different versions of Christianity. Y'all know I like to mess with people. There's a cussing Christianity. There's a date whoever I want to date Christianity. Stop it. There's a do whatever I want to do Christianity, but he know my heart. There's a worship on Sunday Christianity and live like a devil on Monday Christianity. Because what we've done is we've minimized and we've reduced Jesus down to the Jesus that fits us, instead of reducing ourselves down and humbling ourselves so that we can exalt him for the King that he is. Dignitaries humbled themselves to worship him. When was the last time you humbled yourself for Jesus? And that shouldn't be a hard one to answer. If you've done it, you know it. When was the last time you denied yourself for the sake of the King? When was the last time you let him rule? They came. They humbled themselves. And then they opened up their bags and they offered to a baby gold, which is the metal for a king, frankincense, which is the scent, the aroma of worshiping God, and myrrh is an aromatic fragrance that is offered to prepare him for his death. These were pricely. They cost a lot. And they opened up their best and offered it to their king. That's why, y'all know me, I don't care about your money. You do. I care about your offering. On Christmas, what will you offer your kids? Christmas, what will you offer your wife? Christmas, what are you willing to sacrifice to see a smile on their face? But on Christmas, what will you offer your king? Is he anywhere on the Christmas list? Anywhere. Because truly, Christmas truly shows us who our real king is. For them, they traveled far. They traveled long. They sought after him. They received him as their king. He could rule over their life and he could bring them joy. And they would come before him and they would humble themselves so that they could offer him something. This Christmas season, offer Jesus something. And let me go a little bit further. Offer him your best. What is the best of you that you can offer him? And once you know what that is, lay it at his feet. The beautiful thing is when we really get down to it, when we have this attitude towards the love of Christ, he'll give you something that is needed for the remainder of your life. The last thing kind of seems kind of weird, but I think it's something that's very important. We need to be sensitive to him. Remember they had this conversation with Herod, King Herod? To me, that's the conversation with sin, the devil. They could have been deceived. They could have been tricked. But it says that after they offered to the king, it says that the Spirit came and revealed to them not to go back to Herod. Sensitive. Everybody say sensitive. What I would love during this Christmas season is for us to be a little bit more sensitive and aware of Christ. And we talk about receiving him. When you're alerted, you got to respond. If the alarm goes off, don't hit snooze. If you see the light, don't cover your head. If you hear his voice, don't ignore it. I'm talking about being sensitive. I'm talking about being led by your Spirit. And it says that they were divinely warned not to go back to Herod. So they went to their own country another way. Everybody say another way. I waited for that. Because Christmas is a time for you to do this thing another way. Christmas is a time for us to break tradition. Christmas is a time for us to draw closer and closer and closer to our King. Christmas is a time for his presence to reign supreme in our lives and in our homes and everywhere that we go. But we must be sensitive. We started this story with them being alert, and they responded. We end this story with them being sensitive to the Spirit and responding. Could Christmas really be about us responding to Jesus? Could it be? Could it be? And I want to encourage each and every one of you, invite Christ and his love into your homes, into your lives, into all that you do this season, no matter who you are. It just doesn't matter. He does. And we celebrate him as our Messiah, our Savior, and our King. If you believe that, will you just give Jesus Christ a hand clap of praise today? I just want to pray. I want to encourage you during this Christmas season to celebrate him. I want to invite you all to come and be with us for an hour on Friday as we culminate this Advent season and as we light the fifth candle, as we sing songs of worship and we prepare our hearts for the coming of our King. But I want to pray for us that we will receive his love by looking and responding. Amen. Father, God, we honor you and we say thank you, Jesus. Lord, we thank you that for those who are far off, they saw that great light. They came after you. They received you. They pursued you. They honored you and worshiped you. And they heard you. In this season, God, we celebrate many things and we're thankful for a lot. But I pray that we will draw closer to you. There may be somebody here who says, you know what, Pastor Darryl, I truly don't have a relationship with Jesus. And today I truly would. I believe that the light, the star is shining. And I'm ready. I don't know exactly where I'm going or how I'm going to get there, but I'm ready. I'm ready to offer myself to him. All of me. I won't hold anything back. If there's anybody here and that's you with your eyes closed and your head down, just go ahead and raise your hand. I see that hand. You can put it down. everybody here to repeat after me. Dear God, thank you for sending Jesus for me. Today, I acknowledge him. I go after him, and I offer my all to him. No matter the journey, no matter the trial, I will choose to follow you with all that I am. In your name we pray. Amen. Let's give God a hand clap of praise. To those who rose their hands, I want to encourage you that you've just chosen Jesus. It's the best choice you'll ever make. Not just in your life, but for eternity. For us, who we've walked with Jesus, get used to praying that prayer over and over again, because we all deviate. We all find ourselves drawn away. We all find a king at times that's greater than him. And we don't even acknowledge it. That's called servitude and being enslaved. But everything that you see that tries to pull you away from Jesus being Lord of your life, you pray that prayer. Not to be saved again, but just to acknowledge him as Lord in that area of your life. It's normal, it's natural, it's a part of what we do. As we turn to him, when we find ourselves turning away. We pursue him when we find ourselves drifting away. And that prayer is the anchor that keeps our faith. Y'all know me, man. All I want for each and every one of you is God's very best for your life. That's it. That's it. I'm not judging. I'm just pulling up. I just want to pull up. You pull me up too. Let's be the very, very best that he created us to be. Because he's deserving of it. And as wild as it is, you are too. I love y'all. I'm grateful for you. And I thank God. As we prepare to go, just want to make mention of a few things. They've already were mentioned, but I just want to make mention of a few things. And then we'll do our tithes and our offerings. But this week, on Friday, we have our Christmas Eve service, and we would love for you to be here with us in person, 6:30 to 7:30. It's going to be a time for us just to celebrate, as I said. We wanted to try to get you home early so that you could enjoy the rest of your festivities. And so we'd love for you to be here with us. And I'd love to just have you here. We're also in January. Next week, we have just one sermon. It's called Him First. Every time we go into the new year, I believe it's important for us to set our hearts as we begin to set new ideas and new dreams and all of these new declarations and things that we're believing for. It's important for us to make sure that we establish ourselves with Him being the first. I want you to go with Him into 2022. And right after that, we start this prayer and fasting. It's actually a series, okay? It's called Abide. I talked about it in John 15. It says, if you abide in me, if you remain in me, and I in you, or my word in you, ask whatever you desire, and it shall be given to you. So we're going to set our hearts to begin to abide. We're going to fast from the 10th through the 14th. That's 5 days. I know it because I don't like fasting. But we're going to choose the things that you get to fast. Now, me, I know what I love. I'm fasting what I love. What y'all think I love? Oh, yeah. Besides me, some Joanne Morrison, boy, them donuts and them, okay? And no, you can't fast your spouse. Don't you come up in here with that old bad theology. You said what I love. I'm just here. Take him for 5 days. No. That ain't Jesus. It's the devil. But what we try to do is we try our best to, and I want you to think about this. What is the thing that has most of your attention? What is the thing that you find yourself drawn to? What is the thing that you give yourself to and you run to even when you don't recognize it? And I want you to fast that. For me, it's food. Y'all see it? But I choose to fall out of love with what I love so that I can seek him in the times that I want to love the things that I love. And I'm asking God to speak to us, to give us wisdom, and to help us understand the direction that he's calling us to as his people. So we're going to join that time together, and it's going to be awesome. And I want you all to begin to now prepare yourself. We're going to have fasting booklets. We'll have devotions. We're going to have times we're going to pray together in person. We're going to be praying online. We're going to pray on our conference call lines. We are going to pray, 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 pray. And we're going to believe God to establish our 2022 based upon us establishing him as the one whom we abide in. Amen? So that's what we'll do. Remember that. Don't say, Pastor, I didn't hear you. I'm telling you now, we fasting. Okay, man, I forgot that note. No, you didn't. January 10th through the 14th. Everybody, just like the Advent congregational reading, we're going to do it together. January 10th through the 14th. Good job.